The inquest into Nicola Bulley's death has reached a conclusion with the coroner ruling that she did not have any intention to take her own life and died an accidental death. This follows yesterday's revelation that Nicola had not been drinking when she drowned in the River Wyre. And earlier, her partner Paul Ansell told the inquest that she was, quote, full of beans on the night before her death. It was back in February that the disappearance gripped the nation, and today her bereaved family accepted the coroner's ruling and paid tribute to the person they knew as Nikki.
The last few months have been extremely tough to process for our family. The emotional impact will stay long in our hearts, and whilst we will never forget the loss of our Nikki, we will forever remember her as the brilliant mum, partner, daughter and sister that we all knew and loved so very much.
I'm joined now by investigative journalist and former police officer Mark Williams-Thomas, who was in attendance at the inquest. So, Mark, with your expertise, did you agree with the verdict given by the coroner today? And are there questions for the police to answer in their handling of Nicola Bulley's disappearance?
Good evening, Dan. Yes, I mean, I do agree with the coroner's verdict. The coroner had information which led him only really to one conclusion, which was that it was an accidental death. There's no way that he could determine that there was any intention for her to kill herself in any way. So his option really was accident. It still leaves lots of questions. And this is the problem that exists when you have something like this. You have a finding of fact. So the coroner is really responsible for asking the questions. If he doesn't ask all the questions, then you won't necessarily get all the answers that allay the concerns of the public. This is a case that has absolutely, captivated worldwide, not just in the UK, across social media, across the many platforms, with people all having different views. I think what we are in a position now, for the family, we have to get to a position we say, do you know what, end of this case, let's put closure on it. Let the family now mourn in the way that they are. They've got some answers. They haven't got all the answers that they require, but ultimately, we're not going to know. The key question is, where did she go into the water? We now know she definitely went into the water. She definitely drowned in the water. What we don't know is what point she went in the water, and some of the questions in relation to how she could have fallen into the water right by the edge and become unconscious, and then go travel some 150 yards down towards where the weir is and then across the weir. Those just haven't been answered.
No.
But sadly, there is nobody else that can answer those questions.
Well, is that correct, though, Mark? Because what about this mysterious man in black who, having been identified and mentioned again at the inquest, has still not been discovered? What did we learn about him? And could he have been involved?
It was very strange yesterday when suddenly one of the witnesses mentioned this individual who they themselves thought was suspicious, which is why they contacted the police. I would have expected and would have hoped that the coroner would have asked the police, called the police back, or at least asked the question, bearing in mind the coroner knew a lot of this information prior to being in the hearing. It wasn't suddenly revealed to him on that day. Why we didn't get that answered? And actually, it just adds to this whole element of some of these answers just haven't been given. I'm not a fan of Lancashire Police. I think Lancashire Police have made a real mess, certainly of the media aspect of it. But they've made a big mess in terms of their communication process. The public now are going, well, who is this person in black? The Lancashire Police should come out and say, well, we tried to identify it was, we made these inquiries, we made these inquiries. We don't know. And for the conspiracy theories and for those people who just aren't happy that this is the right outcome, it leaves that on the table. And indeed, even for Nikki's family and friends who might at times have slight doubts in terms of what took place, they'll still be asking questions. Well, who is this man in black?
Yeah, totally, because we were when we were looking at the details of the inquest today. I guess the positive things, though, are for Nicola Bulley's family, although I do not think this makes the police look at all good, is that what we can categorically say now, Mark, is that she had no alcohol in her body. So alcohol was not involved, despite those disgusting slurs that the police made public at the time to take the heat off them, and I think that was unforgivable. And it wasn't a suicide. So for her husband and for the future of those two daughters, that is very important, even though some mystery still shrouds how she ended up in that river.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Lancashire police were completely wrong when they released that information. I would have liked it after the post-mortem for them to have come out and said there was no alcohol found in the body. Let's dispel that straight away. And actually they didn't. And they allowed that thought process still to continue on social media. So in reflection, and the police college have looked at this in terms of the media strategy. I hope Lancashire police learn massively from this. But of course, what we are in a position now is that Paul and the rest of the family, the children and the mum and dad have now got some answers. They haven't got all the answers. Unfortunately, what happens in cases like this is that we try to apply logic to it. And sometimes logic just doesn't give us the answers that we're looking for. And events just occur as a matter of occurrence. So it is a very sad situation. How she ended up in that water, how she ended up in a position where she was in that water and then travelled downstream, we will just never know the answers to that. But Lancashire police hopefully have learned something from this. I really would have liked Lancashire police to have held their hands up and said, you know what, we didn't get everything right. We're really sorry. Our thoughts are with the family. But actually, Lancashire police, throughout all of this, have never accepted any failings, never accepted it that they got it slightly wrong. I think they could have been much more humble through this process. They should certainly have dispelled very quickly after the post-mortem that there was no alcohol in her body, having put the slur out that they did. Let's hope, moving forward, we can now put this to bed, that the family mourn in their way that they need to, and Lancashire police have learnt their lessons from it. And although they haven't publicly said it, hopefully within the organisation there is a little bit of humility.
Well, Mark Williams-Thomas, thank you for your brilliantly accurate and incise coverage over the course of the disappearance of Nicola Bulley. You didn't fall into the traps that so many others did, covering what is a tragedy that captured not just the nation but the world. Thank you so much, Mark.